Let's get started. My name is Mike Foy. I'm your regional admissions manager. I live here in Chicago, and this is kind of new for Cal Poly to have someone from the Midwest actually recruiting Illinois right now, and probably later on, the rest of the Midwest. We want to welcome our admitted students, parents, and of course, supporters. We couldn't do it without you. And especially I want to congratulate the students. Congratulations. It's a big, big step you're making. And particularly being admitted here at Cal Poly, we're an impacted campus. So you made it on board. You have something very, very, very important and very significant that you've done by being admitted here, and congratulations. We want to thank the parents and supporters. As I know, I've had 6 kids, and we were able to support them throughout their educational career. It's a big task for the parents, and we want to say thank you very, very much for all your efforts. Before we get started, I'd like to just do a little housekeeping, just some things. As I mentioned before, you won't be able to turn on or off your video, won't be able to unmute yourself. If you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the Q&A tools bar or chat. And we will have resources available via the links. Subject matters such as once you get accepted, admissions, we got the whole YouTube series for that, and next steps playlist we have also. Today, we would like to, the purpose for this meeting is really just to get you to know you. Usually we would have this in person, but of course, with things going on in the nation and around the world, we're not able to do that in person. But this is an opportunity for you to take a closer look at Cal Poly and the things that we have. We have a great ensemble of individuals ready to speak to you about admissions, about getting in. We have students that can tell you a little bit more about the campus life and all those things that you're probably saying to yourself, that's what I want to know right now. So we'll also reiterate, these special deadlines that you're going to have to make, and also some resources available to you. Like I said, you're probably asking yourself, hey, what is it like to be a Cal Poly student? I know that you chose Cal Poly because of the academic standard, and a lot of things that differentiate us from ourselves. I guess the most important is the learn by doing method of teaching. That's very, very important. As I mentioned before, I guess I didn't, but I should mention I did not graduate from the Cal Poly University. And one of the things that kind of was a thorn in my side when I graduated is that I didn't have experience. Well, that the Cal Poly way of teaching will kind of eliminate that for you. Tell you a little bit about Cal Poly, where Cal Poly is. If you don't know already, Cal Poly is centrally located between LA and San Francisco. It's about 10 minutes from several beaches, beaches in the area. It's a college town, and obviously that's a point, but I did go to a university that wasn't at the time a real college town. It was really close to the metropolitan area, and we contend with students going off campus, doing their thing, or actually not even living on campus. At Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, the students make up 50% of the population in San Luis Obispo. So you can imagine that everything revolves around the campus. And I'm gonna tell you, I missed that opportunity. and it makes a big difference because you want that experience going, into, I guess the experience of going to college. One thing we do have is a panel of fantastic representatives from the University of Cal Poly, and we have Joy Peterson. Peterson. Peterson is it? I'm sorry. Yeah, Peterson at Student Affairs that's going to talk to you, and we also have Amy Fletcher and to talk to you a little bit more about the Learn by Doing. So we will have them introduce themselves, and then they'll talk to you about the specific areas. We also have two fantastic current students. I can't say more about them because they are the lifeline of this campus. I mean, this is your next step, and this is what you want to know. And I know that the two, Joy and Amy, got some great things to tell you, but it's really about that student experience, and they'll be able to talk to you about that. So Joy, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here?
Absolutely, thank you. Hi, I'm Dr. Joy Peterson, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Dean of Students at Cal Poly. I've been here 17 years. I started as an EOP advisor, spent 10 years overseeing our Center for Community Service, and grew up on the Central Coast. I'm coming to you today from my attic, where I've been working at home for the past year, but I can't wait to be on campus again and meet you all and see you in the fall. So I'm very excited to be here, obviously, and I want to add myself to the long list of people who are offering you congratulations on your admissions to Cal Poly. I also want to congratulate the parents and the supporters who are with us. It is quite an accomplishment to get into a university like Cal Poly, and I hope you all feel that your hard work has really paid off. So by now you've heard a little bit about our Learn by Doing philosophy and how this approach to learning helps students achieve lifelong success, both on campus and beyond into their professional careers. And a key component to that success is a sense of belonging and community. And that has never been truer than in this past year with the COVID-19 pandemic. Part of my job is helping students experience the fullness of Learn by Doing so they can become global citizens and community members. And we do this by providing meaningful experiences and opportunities to help them connect and develop deep, meaningful relationships. We want our students to learn different perspectives and connect their in-classroom and out-of-classroom experiences. Student success and well-being are the core of our mission in student affairs, and every member of our team is here to help provide the resources for you to be well, find your community, and experience success. I highly encourage you to get involved right away. From your very first quarter at Cal Poly, we want you to be hands-on, and this is really what sets Cal Poly apart. We don't just do the theoretical and then let you practice when you get out into your job. We mix the theoretical with the practical for you right away from the very first day. And what we hear time and time again from employers that come to recruit our students is that when they get on the job, they are 6 to 9 months ahead of any other student that they've hired. And that means that our graduates are successful early in their careers and are able to move quickly up the career ladder in whatever organization they choose to serve in. And I'll talk more about our career services in a minute. I mentioned the importance of community and belonging, and we want to be sure the quality of your out-of-class experience matches the quality of your in-class experiences. We want you to learn about, as I said earlier, different perspectives and ways that people see the world and make meaning, and make sure you're connecting and engaging deeply with everything that Cal Poly has to offer. And we do that by really focusing on creating community and a sense of belonging and cultural competency with all of our students. We really work hard to center diversity and belonging, not just in the areas of our cross-cultural centers like the Multicultural Center and the LGBTQ Center, but throughout all of our programs and services that we offer at Cal Poly. Social justice, diversity, and equity are clearly some of the most pressing issues that our country is facing right now, and we need to prepare all our students to step up and become part of the solution. All of our first year students live on campus, and you'll have a chance to ask questions about that this morning. And they live in a learning community. And so we want you to choose a community to affiliate yourself with that could be based on your college, based on community service, or an identity that you hold. There are lots of choices for first year students. Unfortunately, this past year, we haven't been able to do that because of COVID related restrictions, but we're hoping to bring that back next year when we're in person and operating like more regularly. Residence halls bring you on-site counselors, academic support, and faculty who hold office hours, as well as live-in faculty fellows. And that's why we believe so deeply in the residential learning experience, and are moving to require all our second year students to live on campus as well. So if you are a student who is admitted this fall in the College of Architecture, or agriculture, food and environmental sciences, or engineering, you're going to be living on campus for the next 2 years, because we believe the outcomes are so much better for students. I mentioned the importance of engaging early on, and it's been really hard to do that this past year due to COVID, but we're doing a ton of events virtually, and I would encourage all of you to download the Cal Poly Now app, check out the What's Up Now guide, and that guide has over 500 weekly events that are happening for students virtually. And you can only imagine how this will translate when we are back together as a community in the fall. Another way that we help you build community is helping you with identifying civic engagement and community service opportunities. And we know that so many of you are doing service already, and we want to allow you opportunities to continue to be engaged. We do that through the Center for Service and Action, where we connect students with local service opportunities, as well as national and international service trips. And we have an amazing Center for Leadership, and we want to make sure that the fabulous technical education and the hands-on education you get is matched with equally top-notch leadership skills. And you don't have to be a positional leader to be involved with the Center for Leadership. We know that there's only one student body president, but we want you all to be prepared to be fantastic leaders, and that can include student government. And I want to end by talking about health and well-being, because I know that's definitely on everybody's mind right now. And it's always been critical for us at Cal Poly, because we know that without taking care of your health, you're not going to be able to achieve all of your full potential while you're at Cal Poly. We want you to be able to access our medical services, which includes over 30,000 students having medical care visits, and we have 21 counselors. We've offered over 7,000 student visits for individual and group therapy. So there's all sorts of things that we offer to help you take care of your health. And obviously the emphasis right now has been on the over 130,000 COVID tests that we've offered our students, faculty, and staff to maintain a healthy campus community. And students who live on campus are currently testing several times a week. They spin into a tube, and we use a faculty developed COVID PCR test that gives us results within hours. And we're very excited that that project, in true Cal Poly fashion, has created learn by doing opportunities for our students. Want to mention career services. I know that's top of mind for lots of students as they're looking at where to attend college. That is a major emphasis of what we offer students outside the classroom. And that doesn't start for you at the end of your Cal Poly career when you're a senior. We actually have an entire freshman focus team that is sure to make sure that all of our first year students are connecting early in their college career with that college counselor for their major in college, so that they're developing plans for internships, choosing the classes that will help them move forward to where they want to go, and exploring all the different avenues that are available to them. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because I feel like I'm probably at my time here. But I want to close by saying I hope you choose to join the Cal Poly community, and I hope that you'll choose to stay in touch. You can follow me on Instagram at Cal Poly DOS. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And now we'll hear from Amy. I'm sorry. Yeah, Amy.
Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Amy Fleischer, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Dean of Engineering here at Cal Poly. I'm so excited to have you all on the Zoom today. I know a lot of you are prospective engineering students, and even if you're not, there's so many exciting things that you can do at Cal Poly that I want to talk to you about. And I know we're talking to all of you from in the Midwest today, and I will say I have Midwest roots. I got my doctorate degree at the University of Minnesota, and I saw a number of you from Minnesota at in the chat. And I have memories, just like maybe you do more recently, of those mornings when you go out and literally your eyelashes freeze together because it's so cold. And I will guarantee you, if you come to Cal Poly, that will not happen here. So I think I've been here at Cal Poly for 3 years as Dean of Engineering. I have 18 years at a university on the East Coast before coming here. And in the 3 years I've been at Cal Poly, I think I've used my ice scraper twice, and I probably didn't even need to use it on those 2 days. But it's a completely different environment, and one that's very refreshing when you're coming from a Midwest environment such as I was. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Learn by Doing, and how Learn by Doing is really part of everything that we do at Cal Poly. It's part of what we do in the classroom, and it's part of what we do in our spare time, and it really just pervades and creates a culture where we all know that we can try something and that's okay. You know, we really approach things, not having experience in something isn't any impediment to what we want to try to accomplish, because we know just simply by trying it and doing it, we're going to learn something, even if we're not successful the first time. For engineers, that gives us a really good grounding in what we call the engineering design process. We design something, we test it, we see if it works. If it doesn't work, we just redesign, we retest, and we keep going. And that's kind of the way that we approach everything at Cal Poly. Let's just give it a try and see what works out. I call it a bias towards action. We're not people who kind of sit around and just talk about things for a long time. We're people who let's stop talking about it and let's give it a try and let's see what's going to work. And I really love that about being at Cal Poly. And I'll tell you, I was talking to one of my electrical engineering students a couple of years ago, a young woman, and I was asking her what was going on, and she said, "Oh, Dean Fleischer, I'm getting ready to go out on an internship. I'm so excited about this internship." I'm like, "Oh, great. What are you going to be doing?" And she said, "I'm going to a company that works on robotics, and I don't know anything about robotics. So I'm so excited because I'm going to learn all about robotics." And to me, that just really kind of encompasses kind of the Cal Poly approach. It's okay to be excited when you don't know something, because you're going to get the opportunity to try it and to learn it. And I think about that young woman a lot. And I think, you know, at other schools, if you don't know anything about robotics, you're probably not even going to have the confidence to apply for an internship in robotics, much less get that internship. And here we really encourage you to embrace what you don't know and figure out, how do we get that experience so that you do know it? And to me, that's really powerful. And that's what makes really amazing Cal Poly graduates. Dr. Peterson talked a little bit about the club culture that we have at Cal Poly. And club culture is really deeply embedded in everything that we do. If you go to, say, an engineering school and somewhere else, you're going to see 2, 3, 4, maybe really, you know, deep kind of club experiences. Maybe they're building a Formula One race car. Maybe they have something else as well. And just as an example, here at Cal Poly, we've got 80 clubs in engineering, all really engaged in the different things that are going on. And this is true across all the different colleges at Cal Poly. And, we can sort them into certain classifications of clubs. And some people may join more than one club, and that's great. And you're going to have your home, and these are going to be your people in your different types of interests. And so there's going to be professional clubs like Cal Poly Accounting, or the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, or the Political Science Club, or the Biotechnology Club. So kind of a group around the people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in professionally. And then there's special interest clubs like Hackathon, or Model UN, or the band, or the Rose Float. And you saw some pictures of the Rose Float in the video that we used to start this off. And Rose Float's just a great example of these learn by doing clubs. We're the only college that puts in a float every year, and we've been doing it for decades, been putting in an entry into the Rose Parade every year. And our float is a partnership with Cal Poly Pomona, and we build it in two pieces and then connect them together just the week before the competition. So this is really an exciting type of opportunity. So special interest clubs, then we have clubs that are true competition clubs. You're building something and competing against people from across the nation. Could be building a concrete canoe, could be soil judging, could be design village for our architects, could be the bait team, right? And we're always adding new opportunities. I know one of the newer clubs in the College of Engineering is Hyperloop. So how do we build a model Hyperloop and connect that? So as things evolve, we create, or students create, new clubs for these new experiences. There's tons of interdisciplinary experiences as well. And I know that people sometimes get nervous because you come into Cal Poly with a major, which isn't the same at all schools. But there's so many opportunities to kind of go across majors, go across lines, and kind of blur those disciplinary experiences. There's summer undergraduate research opportunities in most of our college. And then if I look at some of our cross-cutting minors, so if I look at my own school, we match engineering and business in our entrepreneurship minor, or we match engineering and science in our data science and our bioinformatics minors. Engineering and liberal arts, we match in science and technology, or computing for the interactive arts minors. We match engineering and architecture with a heavy civil minor. We match engineering and agriculture in a lot of studies around advanced technology for agriculture. We call that ag tech. So just across all the colleges, there's so many different ways that you're going to get to interact if you want to. And Dr. Peterson also talked about, creating a sense of belonging. And all of our colleges are committed to providing that sense of belonging, providing that home for our students. And that home is in your department, and that home is in your clubs. And then there's a lot of affinity groups that provide that supportive home for you. So these can be where you can gather around people that have similar interests and similar backgrounds to you and get that type of support that you need to be successful. Societies like our National Society of Black Engineers, or our Society of Hispanic and Professional Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, Women in Software and Hardware. Across the university, we have programs like this. We have the Latinx Business Student Association, the National Organization of Minority Architecture Students, Association for Women in Mathematics. We're going to find that type of support and hold each other up as we're being successful. So we recognize everybody's coming in with a different background, with different experience, different needs, and that's really important to us. And what we want to do is we want to create that environment where we hear and value everyone's voice, and each one of you can be authentically true to your own self. So we really feel our learn by doing approach sets us up to be successful, sets you up to be successful. And I'm not going to lie to you, we've got employers lined up at the door to hire our graduates at the end of their degree program. Our most recent data shows that 93% of our students are set within 6 months after graduation, and those are outstanding numbers. We have about 13% going off to graduate school, about 75% working full-time, and about 5% pursuing interesting pursuits like an artistic pursuit or traveling or a fellowship overseas. So there's all kinds of different opportunities for our students. And really, I think overall, what we do is we help our students to be universally successful in the path that you're going to learn to define for yourself through learn by doing and trial and error over the next 4 years. And that's going to be really an exciting opportunity. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. And I wish you luck as you're making your decisions.
All right. I want to go. I want to sign up. Oh, okay. I already did that. All right. Well, hey, as I mentioned before, it gets better. I mean, that's exciting stuff, but it gets better. And now what I like to do is introduce you to our current students. They can pretty much tell you a little bit about themselves and preempt a lot of questions that you may have. We'll start with Grace.
Sweet. Hi, y'all. My name is Grace Lauer. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a fourth-year architecture major, so I actually have a whole nother year at Cal Poly. It's a 5-year program. I also have a minor in sustainable environments within the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. Let's see. I'm also from Edina, Minnesota, so I am a Midwesterner. So any questions that you might have about being an out-of-state student, getting to SLO, from SLO, what it's like being 2,000 plus miles from home, please throw them in the Q&A. Abby and I are really going to try our best to answer all of your questions, or if you have any questions about architecture, please let us know. Abby, how about you? Who are you?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Abby Allen. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm a 3rd-year kinesiology major. I'm from San Jose, California, so that's around 3 hours north of Cal Poly. So Bay Area, super nice to be a little closer than maybe some of you are right now. And I'm actually currently in San Luis Obispo for my spring break. I've gotten to stay here. It has been so much fun to just be in the sunshine and enjoying the weather, but also just kind of get to immerse myself more in this SLO community right now. I also have a minor in biological sciences, so I'm pretty invested in the College of Science and Mathematics if you have any questions about that. Grace and I are actually also tour guides for Cal Poly. We also work alongside a lot of the admissions officers in our welcome center. So any questions you have about anything, student life, academics, whatever that is, throw them our way.
All right. Well, great. And at this time, we're going to go to the Q&A. But before that, I get to play Don Pardo. I'm sure all of you don't know who Don Pardo is, but I get to play Don Pardo because I'm going to preempt some questions, but the top 12 questions that are usually asked on a panel like this. The first one, and I'm just going to throw it out to the general panel, is Cal Poly more collaborative or competitive? Can anybody answer that?
Yeah, I can. So coming into such an academically rigorous university, I totally thought it was going to be super competitive, like professors ranking you and you being like up against other students and having it be this like head-to-head battle every single time you go into class. But I mean, just in my experience, there are so many collaborative group projects. Especially within architecture, it's a lot of project-based like grades instead of tests. So you're actually working together. I'm actually just getting out of a studio right now where I worked with landscape architecture students and architecture students together to create a project, which was super cool. So not even collaboration within your own major, but also across majors and even across colleges. Abby, can you kind of speak to that within the College of Science and Math?
Yeah, completely. I actually love this question because this is kind of how I answer why I love Cal Poly so much. I never feel competitive against my peers. I feel like even within my own major, kinesiology is fairly small. I'm able to just work alongside a lot of my peers and help each other study, help each other in our labs, really make sure that we're getting that hands-on experience and like understanding all the concepts together so that we all know someday in our future careers, we can apply whatever we learned at Cal Poly in our field. So I feel like I've never felt competitive against other students, which is such a comforting feeling when you're studying higher education. So yeah.
All right. Well, what does the survey say? Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. You guys actually, you actually get 10 points each because you collaborated with each other. You didn't compete against each other. I appreciate that. So we're going to go to the next question, and the next question is, what sets Cal Poly apart from other universities?
I mean, learn by doing is definitely a philosophy that we've had. And I see a lot of other universities beginning to adopt that, but they don't really have it ingrained in their foundation like we do. I think with both declaring your major from day one and having upside down curriculum, so you're taking your GE classes alongside your major classes, you have 2+ years more experience than someone who's going into a university where they declare after their second year, which it's totally a daunting idea to like have your life plan set out for you within declaring your major, but like can't advocate enough for just career counselors and just academic counselors as well, just in order to like have that level of comfort within Cal Poly is really nice. And like 30% of our students end up changing their major, so like even if you decide you want to switch, it's okay, and Cal Poly really wants to support you and all that. So I think it really sets us apart within the Learn by Doing community. I also think that the people are some of the nicest I've ever met in my entire life, coming from the Midwest, like Minnesota nice, like I totally get it. I went to San Luis Obispo. It's the same kind of feeling. People open doors for you. They ask you how you're doing genuinely, even if they don't know you. Like downtown is such a quaint little beautiful place, and people really do care about each other. I'm pretty sure I was downtown on my tour and someone said bless you when I sneezed, and I turned around and I was like, where am I? Like, this is not the California that I thought of in my head. So it's definitely the people too that make the place.
Yeah, and I would say with setting apart, like Grace said, there's other schools that are starting to do Learn by Doing, but it's just not at the scale that we do Learn by Doing. And it's just so amazing to be able to get to do that from the very beginning. An example I'll use in engineering is we have a couple of huge machine shops. And a lot of schools, freshmen can't touch the machine shops. You got to wait till you learn how to do something. Maybe by senior year, you'll get to build something in the machine shop, or maybe the mechanics will do it for you. But here in the College of Engineering, we put about 1,600 first-time students through machine shop training every September and October. So we get everybody in, you're right away, you're building, you're learning, you're doing something with your hands right off the bat. And then you've got that skill that you can build on through the rest of your time here. So it is really unique. And we build that Learn by Doing, not just into one class or two classes or senior project class, but into every class that you're doing. And there's a question in the chat that I'm just going to answer live. And it's kind of like what classes are like. And to me, that's what sets people apart. That's what sets Cal Poly apart. There's a lot of the classes are, I'd say the majority of the classes are using Learn by Doing techniques. They're not simply lectures. You're working with your classmates. You're working on projects. You're working on something that's going to benefit the community. So there's projects in, I would say, virtually every class that you're doing. And then there's, do we get to do research? There's tons of undergraduate research. And Cal Poly really being focused on the undergraduate experience, again, sets us apart from most other large schools where that focus is going to be on the graduate students. Here, if we want to do research, we want to do something really interesting, then undergrads are involved in it. If we want to work on a project, undergrads are involved in it. That really sets us apart, and there are so many opportunities for you to get involved like that.
I'll also say that like it's Learn by Doing doesn't just apply to like the really technical majors and colleges like the College of Architecture and Environmental Design and the College of Engineering. I mean, even within the College of Liberal Arts, majority of Learn by Doing looks like going into the preschool learning labs and like looking through one-way glass and being able to observe all of these preschoolers in their like interactions with each other. I mean, you're in discussion-based classes, so you're not just sitting in a lecture learning about architectural history, or you're not just learning about ethnic studies, you're communicating with other people, you're having discussions, or you're actually going out and doing all those things. So it definitely translates across every single college. So just like what Dean Fleischer?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, was saying earlier, is it translates in every single major here, and it's definitely ingrained in who we are. And then Abby, that question also is kind of geared towards you because you've done research at Cal Poly. Do you want to speak on your experience?
Yeah, I've been very thankful for all the learn by doing that I've already gotten to experience at Cal Poly. I was on a research team my entire second year here, and it just completely opened my eyes to a new world of what it looks like to kind of just like communicate with people in my field, in like the real world, get experience, get my name on some papers, and just like be super immersed in the research experience. I did not think I was going to be able to do that in my undergraduate time, and getting to do that as a second year was just an incredible chance for me. So yeah.
Fantastic. I don't want to harp on that, but it is very important because that is I would consider the defining point, positive point about Cal Poly. And just coming out of the business world, I mean, I hired a lot of students, and true enough, you know, as an employer, you're going to go for that the prospect that has that hands-on experience. You have to, because it makes dollars and cents. It will save us about $100,000 within the next year of onboarding an employer. Employee, to teach them what we need them to know. So it has a real impact on the real world of how employers are going to look at you. It's dollars and cents. So anyway, with that, let's go to the next question. And most of the questions were answered, and I appreciate the panel for kind of jumping in there and just, but these are some questions that a little bit more trickier, I think. And it's what resources do Cal Poly have for underrepresented students? I know we talked about that a little bit. But just kind of reemphasize what kind of resources do we have?
I would say most of the colleges are going to have specific support programs for people from different communities which have been historically minoritized. In engineering, we have what's called our Multicultural Engineering program that is a retention program and provides community for students from historically minoritized communities to find others having the same experience. And that can include whether it's a racial or ethnic community, or whether it's a transfer student community, or whether it's support for veterans. You can find the type of support that you need. We have particular support for transfer students. So we really are looking to see what are the different communities that our students belong to, and what do those different communities need. And I think perhaps Joy can talk a little bit about some of the affinity groups that we have across the campus.
Absolutely. And unmute myself quickly. So we have many cultural clubs that students find, I think, a lot of community in. And then in addition to the clubs, we have centers in the Division of Student Affairs. So we have the Multicultural Center, the Gender Equity Center, the Pride Center. And these are places where we organize. We have full-time coordinators who work with students to organize events, and we have spaces for students to hang out and gather. And many of these centers have annual events that they do, including Polycultural Weekend, where we bring students together across all the different colleges. So we have both in academic affairs, academically related clubs, we have the cultural clubs, and then we have centers within the Division of Student Affairs. And we also have living learning communities in the residence halls. So depending on what you're looking for and what type of community engagement you want to have, I think there are a lot of options for all of our students. Michael, you're muted.
Okay. Sorry about that. Transportation. What's transportation like, and what if I get homesick? Two part.
Yeah, so I was actually going to answer Olivia's question within the Q&A along with this, because I actually have the joy of flying into San Luis Obispo today from Minnesota. So I'll be at MSP later, and then we'll be in Denver for a little bit, and then we'll be in San Luis Obispo. I normally fly directly into San Luis Obispo, but it's actually really convenient being in between LAX and SFO, so, or even San Jose or Santa Barbara. Like we have so many airports within California that you can fly into. So you're really going to be able to find the cheapest flight. And then we also have like the Amtrak train that comes like from the north and the south into San Luis Obispo. We have a great train station, or even ride share. So if you are flying into San Francisco, you can find a ride, no problem, which is pretty great. And that's for out-of-state students, of course. I have never driven to California either, but I plan on like doing a big road trip once I graduate. So I'll get back to you on what that drive is like, but it seems pretty daunting because it's kind of far away, just a little bit. And then as for transportation within SLO, so freshmen are not allowed to have cars on campus. I think they are this year just because of COVID, but you honestly don't really need one. Just from my experience, I actually drive a scooter, like a moped. And so I haven't had like my own independent type of transportation other than like an actual pedaling bike until last year. And it was really easy to find friends with cars once you're an upperclassman, or our public transportation system is absolutely top notch. You are able to access that for free when you're a student. You just like swipe your poly card, which is pretty nice. But yeah, transportation is great. We're also a really friendly bike friendly city. All of our streets either have bike lanes or are like share the road, or we have bike paths as well, or it's just pretty easy to walk around. It's so nice out that it's nice to be outside all the time. But that's kind of how I answer transportation. And our regional airport is really nice. It was remodeled like three or so years ago, so it's beautiful. One of my favorite places in SLO, not gonna lie.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question. What is there to do for fun?
Well, based on my experience, go to the airport. I'd say, I mean, not only being 10 miles from 10 beaches and also having like 125 hikes within the county, being outside is a huge part of being in SLO. I mean, look at this gorgeous place you get to be behind me. I'm really excited to go back because it is beautiful, pretty much 24/7, 365. Sometimes it rains and then it just makes the hills even greener, so it's kind of okay. But yeah, lots of hiking, lots of surfing, lots of going to the beach. I'm a big coffee shop nut. I love Nautical Bean and Scout Coffee. Abby's like nodding her head. She's like, yes. But even just walking downtown, being on campus, like there's so many things to do. There's always events going on, or even just like hanging out with your friends on Dexter. It's just a very low-key place to be, and there's always something going on, so you'll never be bored.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that. I think there's also a lot of really unique things in SLO or like very close to SLO that you could just like spend an afternoon at or take a day trip. We have the Madonna Inn, which is like a really cute all pink historic hotel that has really awesome cake that a lot of students like to go to. We have this city of Solvang, which is like only an hour and a half away. Santa Barbara's close, Big Sur's close. So weekend trips, day trips are super common just among students, and just kind of getting to explore the Central Coast and yeah, just spend a lot of time at those beaches. I feel like I go to a different beach every single weekend and it's the best. So yeah.
How accessible are the professors on campus?
I would say that I go to an outrageous number of office hours. I love connecting with my professors. They are always, always, always willing to work with students and just support you in any way. I've never had an experience where I've needed help and I haven't gotten it. So it's really cool to know that our professors are trying to make the time, especially in this virtual world right now, to hold a bunch of office hours, have time to just be there for students to support us in any way. And it's cool to even kind of feel myself connecting with professors over Zoom, even though it hasn't been in person, even though we haven't been in the classroom. Like I've still felt myself forming those connections and bonds with my teachers, which I'm really thankful for because that's something that I've missed. So it's definitely still happening, still being able to connect, still getting that help that I've needed.
Okay. All right. Good answer.
There
Appreciate
was
it.
a question earlier about homesickness that I wanted to address. As the Dean of Students, I hear from a lot of students who are lonely or maybe feeling like they're the only ones who aren't making as many friends or connections as everyone else. And so I want to assure you that homesickness is normal. And there are a lot more students experiencing it than you think. When you're in the moment, it can feel like you're the only one, but everybody is trying to find their community. Everybody is trying to make new friends. And it might seem on the outside like everyone's having a great time, but just know that there is that common thread of, you know, trying to find your home at Cal Poly in the beginning. And the other thing I want to mention is we have this really cool program called Local Connections. And I don't know if Grace, you're a part of it, but it matches out-of-state students with local families. And so I have a student that I've been in contact with for the past 3 years. She's from Oregon. I have her over during the holidays, and I've let her store her stuff in my storage unit. I mean, we've become really close friends, and so that's a great program if you're looking for a local connection because you're feeling homesick. But I also just want to reassure you that those feelings are normal, and you're not going through it alone. And even though it might seem like it, everybody is in the same boat. So.
Yeah, I can also kind of speak to that. So Community Connections is a great resource. I'm not personally part of it because I have a lot of family in California and my aunt actually lives in SLO. So I felt like I had that familial community and tie within SLO. But even if you're just like craving a home cooked meal or just like older adults, I mean, it's the weirdest thing going to college and you only see people from the age range of like 18 to 25 the majority of your time here. So you see like a baby and you're like, oh my gosh, like they exist in the world. That's amazing. Or even your professors, like that, those are the only people that you really see. So even just like going into a family setting and like a home when you've been living in a dorm is really nice. I have a lot of friends who are involved in that program, and I mean, have gained lifelong friendships and community ties to SLO, which is pretty cool. And also just in regards to homesickness, I totally can admit to being homesick. I mean, being from the Midwest and going to California, I knew 3 people coming to Cal Poly, and even then I really didn't know them. Like I knew of 3 people coming to Cal Poly with me. And so, I mean, being 2,000 miles plus away from everything you've ever known is a very daunting thing, but there are so many resources. And just like Joy said, there are a lot of people who are feeling the exact same way. So you are not alone in that. And we have a lot of resources to help you combat that. And it's also a normal part of college, like missing your parents, that's totally okay. And also knowing that they miss you too. Like you have all these exciting new things going on in your life and you're taking new classes and meeting new people, and your parents are just like, okay, well, I miss my child now. Or your supporters are like, I miss my child now. So it's a two-way street too.
Okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate that insight. Here's a question, and probably the last. What does learn by doing look like in this distant learning environment? It's a hard one. I know.
Go ahead. You got it.
I would say learn by doing looks different in the virtual environment, but I think our faculty have really responded well to the challenge. Just because you're learning distantly doesn't mean that you can't be still being active in the classroom. There can still be discussions, there can still be breakouts. We've switched to a number of virtual lab environments. You can wire up a circuit virtually just as well as you can wire up a circuit in person. A lot of instruments are remote anyway. Think about, I mean, engineering uses remote instruments all the time. How are we operating the Mars rover? Right? They're not on Mars. So it's really common for us to be able to do remote type of hands-on work. So we've moved to that type of environment within our labs, within our opportunities. Where we can, we sent kits out to students for particular classes, but we're learning by doing. We're not, we're interested in finding ways to make it work, and we haven't let this slow us down in being able to do hands-on learning. I would say the most challenging class for us to convert to Learn by Doing was the class that most of our first year engineering students take, that's called metal joining. And the colloquial name for metal joining would be our welding class. And you know what? Welding doesn't translate that well into the virtual environment, but our professor was giving it his best shot. He was doing multi-camera angles. He was taking the camera under the welding hood so you could look through the helmet and see what you were experiencing. We're trying to be as creative as we can to get that experience for students. And for something like virtual welding, we're committed to letting the students actually weld something when they get back on campus. But we really only had one fully virtual quarter, and that was when we sent the students home in the spring of last year. And then we opened in the fall with about 10 to 15% of our classes in person. And in engineering, that included a lot of our labs. So we have had a lot of labs in person this year.
Yeah, even to elaborate on that. So, I mean, being that we have such nice weather and we're also a huge agricultural school, a lot of the cafes labs are outside. Our friend Lauren was in a biology or a soil science class, and she just went on hikes with her entire class every single week. And that was her participation. They just went on hikes and looked at different types of soil, and that was her in-person class. Also, students get super stoked when they have an in-person class because they're like, wow, like I'm gonna not be on Zoom for 5 minutes and it's going to be awesome. There are also so many classes that have really committed to giving resources to students who are in San Luis Obispo. Our friend Savannah is in the floral arranging lab, and every single week she would go and pick up all of her fresh produce, take it back to her house. They gave her trimming shears and all of the floral tape and everything. So she was able to just do it on her kitchen island, which was pretty cool. Within architecture, I have a 3D printer, so I was still able to model things. I made giant 1/4-inch scale models of my buildings in my backyard with all of the recycled materials that my house was having. So it'd just be tons of yerba mate cans and Trader Joe's box cereal, of things that I would normally just recycle. And so I was making a model out of them. So we're really trying any way that we possibly can to have Learn by Doing. It does look a little funky because we're so used to being in person. Also, welding as first years, I have no idea how architecture is doing that either, but super cool to see how engineering is doing that as well. And then we have all the prospects of going as relatively back to normal in the fall. So we're really trying to prepare our students to have kind of a hybrid in that way of okay, we can have some virtual and some Zoom lectures and making it more comfortable for students. But Abby, are you vaccinated? I get vaccinated next week. I'm pretty sure all set 16 and up in California in the end of April are able to be vaccinated. So we're really looking forward to going back to in-person Learn by Doing, but also taking everything that we learned within the virtual realm and translating into that, because it's a really helpful tool, especially being an out-of-state student. I really appreciated a lot of the Learn by Doing that we did virtually.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And this is, we're getting close to the time of ending. It's 1 minute to 12, 11:59. And I want to thank the panel for the wealth of knowledge and insight that you brought to us. This is the time where these students they need this information to make their final decision. And I appreciate you wholeheartedly. Hats off to you. And just in closing, I'd like to let you know that if you need to get in contact with me, my information is right on the screen. My telephone number, email, as well as you can text. We're accessible. I know this is important information, important decision that you're going to make. The biggest thing I can leave you with is ROI. As I mentioned before, most of my career was in the business sector, in the business arena, and you're going to have a head start. Just plain and simple. Between a traditional education and a traditional plus, and that's what I consider Cal Poly a traditional plus. You're going to get that experience along with that valuable education and degree. You're going to be looked at again and again as leaders, because you're going to affect the employer's bottom line right off the bat. He or she is going to see that. They're going to understand it when you talk, because you're not going to be talking about theoretical things. You're going to be talking about real life things. You're going to be walking the walk. And that's where the value is. So when you are deciding where you want to go, forget about the sunshine, forget about the ocean. They're great perks, but what's of most value is that degree and the learn by doing experience. So with that, I want to say thank you for students and parents and supporters for coming out and listening to us and giving us a closer look. For now, stay healthy, and we'll see you on campus. Bye-bye.
Hi there, my name is Rafael. I'm a fourth-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section, and go ahead and click here to subscribe. And to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a virtual visit or talk to any student or staff members, check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.